What do you do? What does a mature Christian do when they have absolutely no sense at all that God is there? Well, the mature Christian does what he knows to do. He prays, he studies, he gives, he shares his faith, he loves others, he encourages, he does all the things he knows to do. He responds just like a mature Christian would because he's dedicated himself to doing that.
And that's the thing about spiritual maturity. You're never staying in the same place.
We've defined spiritual maturity as this, as the distance between God's call for our life, what he intends us to be, and our actual life. It's a continuum. We go from least mature to most mature. That is a continuum. Salvation is binary. You either are or you are not. But there aren't degrees of savedness. Spiritual maturity, that T phase over here, this is not about perfection. But the problem is the enemy sometimes will let spiritual perfection be the enemy of spiritual maturity. Don't let the concept of nobody's perfect get in the way of nobody's mature.
The natural state of being still is adrift.
What's the most drastic thing that you would do if you knew God wanted you to do it? And then what's just over the line? Like, what's the least drastic thing that God could ask you to do that you'd say, There's a lot of ways to worship. Giving is worshiping, serving is worshiping, sharing your faith is worshiping. Obedience, maybe especially in the most difficult of circumstances, is an act of worship.
We grow as we press on in following and pursuing Jesus as he brings us back to past stages to address other issues in our lives. So you and I have to learn a devoted practice of pursuing Jesus and becoming like him. It's devotion. It's consistency. Maturity in this life is about recognizing you're not done and there's still work that needs to be done. And that means the challenge is that you've got to keep pressing forward.
Find yourself, understand where you are, pray about where you are, and pray about what's holding you, that's keeping you there.
God will keep testing you for the purpose of refining you. The thing about spiritual maturity is as long as you're alive, you're not finished. Sometimes it feels like things are out of control, but they're not. God is there, and he is absolutely working intentionally in your life. If you're going to engage, here's the question you ought to always be asking. God, what's next?
If you're in the T, you need to be asking yourself questions.
What's the next thing in my life that you want to change? Here's the sobering news. As the tests continue, the heat gets turned up. The trials keep getting harder, and here's what that means. That means that as God is trying to save you, which is what he's always trying to do, sometimes it feels like he's trying to kill you. Sometimes it feels like God's out to get you, but he's not out to get you. He's not out to hurt you and harm you. Here's what he's out to do. He's out to heal you. When God isn't your first love, God doesn't get what he deserves, and you aren't who you were intended to be. Nothing is honored by being taken for granted. The trust stage, here's what you have to learn. You have to be able to get to the place where you say, my life is not my own, it's yours, God. Ongoing pursuit requires radical trust.
Pray through that, develop a plan to move to the next stage, and share that. Find yourself and find someone else to talk to.
We are sinners who deserve judgment, but God in his grace and love has provided a sacrifice in our place so that we might be saved. And get this, not just so that we might be saved, past tense, but so that God might continue to save us, providing everything that we need, knowing that he loves us, that he will provide for us, just as he provided for Abraham, just as he provided for Isaac, just as he provided through Jesus on the cross for you. He will provide every single thing that you need as you trust in him, as he leads you to places you may not know where you're going, but he knows, and he's going to take you there, and he's going to continue to grow you into the likeness of his Son as you trust your life to his faithfulness.